Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to today's IEEE USA livestream webinar, Highlights from the 2020 IEEE USA Consultants Fee Survey Report. I will now pass it off to our presenter for today's webinar, Manager of Strategic Research at IEEE, Josephine Russo. Welcome, Josephine.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Hi, everybody. Greetings. My name is Josephine Russo, and yes, I am the Manager of Strategic Research at IEEE. I've been with the company just since January 2020. So it's been an incredible experience since I've started here. I've learned a lot, and the IEEE-USA Consultants Fee Survey was one of the first reports that I did that's done annually at IEEE. So a really fun project to work on and better understand the organization through. I'm here today to go through some of the results with you and hopefully to answer any questions that you have about the report. IEEE USA has conducted annual surveys focusing on the compensation of consultants since 1998. There was a few years that were skipped. So 99 to 2001 was skipped, 03, 05, and 08. So surveys done every other year. And I'm going to start with the methodology. You can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So this year was a little different. You can see it was the spring of 2020 when we identified about 10,000 IEEE members that are consultants, either subscribe to the Consultants Network newsletter or are actually listed as consultants within our database. So everyone that we surveyed was IEEE members. And we sent, it was just under 10,000 that got the survey. We actually sent it out June 17th. So everybody's hyper aware of, where we were at on June 17th in terms of, COVID-19. And we decided to send it out. We kept it open for four weeks. And we got just under 1,000 responses. So the response rate was 9.6. That is pretty custom for other years. It's been about the response rate that we get. But, we can only imagine and know that, the results are a little different and the circumstances were a little different this year than in previous years just due to COVID-19. It's likely that some of the consultants that might have otherwise participated were experiencing one of the many distractions or concerns related to the pandemic. However, results from 2019 are relatively consistent. So we'll see that as we go through. So the margin of error that we have here is 3.9. It's pretty good. So it means that we can be 95% confident that the true answer is within, about a little less than 4 percentage points of the finding. And the exact numbers that we'll look at today in percentages are really from 600 individuals. So it's less than 1,000. About 600 of those 1,000 individuals said that 50% of more of their consulting hours was earned income in the calendar year of 2019 from fee-based consulting. So at least half of their income came from their consulting work in the previous year. You can move on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So we'll start with demographics. The mean age was just under 58 years old. This was about 3 years lower than the 2019 report. The decrease, we attribute it to both an increase in respondents in the age range of 55 to 59, which went up, almost 8 percentage points, and a lot less respondents age 65 up. That was down 21 percentage points. So, we can assume, and I can assume at least that partly that might be due to, COVID-19 and fear, concern, or just a whole lot of distractions that might have been happening in June, specifically for respondents over 65 years of age. We had just over 1 in 20 respondents that were under the age of 40. Thank you. Looking at demographics, so this is the experience in the profession, years of experience in the profession before consulting. So this is not years of experience as a consultant. We'll look at that next. But this is, before you went to consulting, how many years were you in your selected profession? On average, men have more professional experience than women, but the gap really narrowed. So it's down between genders 7 years. So in 2019, it was 10 years difference between the professional experience of men and women before they went into consulting. Now it's down to 3 years. So the mean for women was 21.4, and for men it was 24. Shrinking professional experience gap, we think, is due to both more women having more years of professional experience and men having a little bit less, which ties right back into age. Next slide, please. Thank you. When looking at education, the percentage of PhD, master's degree holders went down slightly. The percentage of respondents with the highest degree being a bachelor went up 15 whole percentage points. So that's probably the most significant difference from previous years. And you can see here, I know the chart's a tiny bit small. Hopefully you can, kind of see all the degrees there and what everyone's holding. Next slide. So we ask, we have 96 technical specialties that we list, and we ask what technical specialties are for each consultant. They are allowed to choose more than one. The top 5, about a quarter or more, mention that they have specialty within systems engineering, project management, electrical power systems, software development, application and management by itself. So this was the top 5 this year, all having just about a quarter or more. The 4th and 5th top specialties did change from 2019. So in 2019, they were expert witness was the 4th top, and electrical power generation was the 5th top. The top 3 have remained the same since 2019. We also have some that have the 5 areas with the greatest increases altogether, and this is of a lot longer list. Remember, it's 96 of them since 2016. The ones with the greatest increase are Python, information technology, electromechanical, C and C++, and automation. In the 5 areas with the greatest loss are hardware general, antenna, microwave, illumination, lighting, and networks. Networks including LAN, WAN. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we asked some questions about type of work and setting, consistent with previous reports. And, the text here that you'll see describes a little bit about setting, while the chart actually talks more about type of work. So I'll go through setting first. 8 in 10 consultants use their home office for their work setting. That's really always been the case in previous reports for the majority of consultants. And about 4 in 10, which is up just a slight bit from 2019, carry professional liability, errors and omissions insurance. In terms of types of work, respondents who work solely as an independent consultant in 2019, that 44% that you see for the independent, they answered 100% of their work is performed as an independent consultant. That continues to decline. So it was a little higher in 2018, up a lot from 2017. Now that's going down just a tiny bit. So it's 48.6 was in 2018, and then 44% in 2019. So sole independent consultants dipped slightly also. So this was 44% in 2019, 37% previously. Thank you. So thinking about the majority of the average consultant's business, you can see over 62% is coming from repeat clients. that's the top way the consultants are getting business. Just under that, referrals from clients and friends. And then, about 1 in 10 having client contacts made by networking. There were 3 new options added this year. 2 of them are listed, 1 is not. We added social media networking, internet ad / Google ad, and social media advertising. You can see that the 2 that are listed there only had 1% of respondents use that as their basis for earnings. And then the other one didn't even make it. It had under 1%, which was social media advertising. Similar to networking, but different. Next slide. Thank you. So this really line of business. So we asked about line of business, and this really reflects well in terms of US IEEE members as a whole. Respondents work in a variety of business lines. And I think we see this across a lot of the research that we do, where, respondents have a lot of different type of work that they're involved in within engineering. The top here we see is electrical and electronics manufacturing, but it's only just over 1 in 10 of respondents. So, wide variety, as you can see here. Communications and consulting is the second, about 10% for both of those. And then utilities just right under that. So you can see the whole list here, and I'll actually just pause for a second and I know this is a little bit of a larger chart that I'll let you look through before I move on. Okay. Thank you. So the majority of consultants, about 60%, work with private, non-defense, and non-utilities companies in terms of sector. When you add in the private industry, when you add in defense and utilities, the private industry raises to more than 8 in 10 respondents. So things like educational institutions, state and local government, very small amount of consultants work within those sectors. Next slide. So we looked at median hours, hourly rates by a few different demographics. So I'm going to go through 3 of those now. And the first one that we looked at and through is experience. And just a reminder, again, this is experience. This is experience in terms of consulting, years of consulting experience, not years of professional experience. I don't have the chart for professional experience. We did not find any real meaningful differences in between, people with little professional experience before consulting and a lot. Years of experience in consulting showed a lot more variety in median hourly rates. So as you can see here, we have the overall median, which was 150. You can see the line going through the bars. That will show you how much, some are over. $10 decrease from last year, which is, pretty small in terms of 160 was the overall median hourly rate of all consultants in the 2019 report. The same in 2018, it was also 160. So not a huge difference. Typical rate, beginning at 135 an hour for those with less than 5 years of consulting, goes all the way up to 175 for those with 20 to 24 years of experience. We also looked at deciles, and we did have a lower maximum rate than the highest seen in previous reports. So last year we saw up to $400 an hour reported. This year, $360 was the highest or the maximum hourly rate reported. Next slide, please. Thank you. So looking by education, you can see there's a little less variety here. So PhD, those with a PhD or MBA have a $43 advantage in their median hourly rate over those with bachelor's and master's degrees. But within bachelor's and master's degrees, they closely mirror the overall median rate. Next slide, please. Thank you. So looking by region, we looked at which parts of the United States kind of offer the highest rates of compensation. We analyzed responses using the United States Census Bureau regions, not the IEEE region designations. So you'll see under here, each region is represented. The Middle Atlantic region, so that includes New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, had the highest average hourly rate. This is $175. However, it was down $20 from the report in 2019. East, North, Central region, which I'm not going to read all the states that includes, but you can see them there on the slide, and the New England region both reported an average of $143, just below the median hourly rate. Again, none of these rates are, wildly different than each other, but, 170 to the lowest of 143 is somewhat of a difference hourly. Next slide. Thank you. So because we conducted this survey kind of in the I want to say in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, but I think we know it has multiple heights. So I don't know what we would characterize June as, but it's definitely one of the harder months, I think. I know, for us in the tri-state area. I'm here in Philadelphia. So we asked some questions just to try to start to understand how we could better support consultants in this time, how IEEE-USA could give some new resources potentially. Some of the things we found out, 1/3 of the consultants said that the pandemic was negatively affecting their business. And then 3 in 10 said it was having both negative and positive effects. We made sure to, kind of ask about both, as we did hear anecdotally that some people were having an increase in business. So just under 3 in 10 reported it had no effect, and under 10%, but 7% said it was having only a positive effect, no negative effects. 2 in 10 respondents looked for government aid, and some applied but didn't receive. Out of the people that did receive government aid, they did say it was helpful, but 3/4 of consultants did not get any government aid or apply for any government aid. When we asked about some of the positive effects of the pandemic, most people said just the ability to work from home full time is cited overwhelmingly. So while we know that consultants already had a home office that they were primarily working out of, this ability to not be on site, to not have, some of the costs associated with travel and being on site was a huge plus for consultants. Negative effects included travel restrictions, obviously limited productivity, difficulty in connecting or communicating with clients was said very often. That about wraps up the overall findings of the report. The report is extremely long. There's a lot of really interesting, rich detail in there, including, even some quotes from, reports of what it's been like to be a consultant during COVID-19 and what resources are needed. So, I absolutely recommend that you get a copy of the report and go through it on your own. I have plenty of time to answer any questions that anyone has now. And I thank you all for your attention and listening.
All right, thank you so much, Josephine. Folks, we are now at the Q&A portion of the webinar. Go ahead and ask your questions in the comment section, and we'll load them onto the stream for Josephine to answer. Josephine, here's the first question from our viewers.
That's a great question. Thanks, Corey. So the 10-hour decrease in the median rate from 2019 to 2020, it's not really been part of a trend. So in 2018, it was also at 160. So I don't even know if I'd call it a 1-year dip because it is truly $10, right? So even a smaller response rate. So if we had 10% response rate last year, 9% response rate this year, that could just influence it enough for this, $10 dip. So I would say we'd wait until next year to look at, if it was really part of a trend or not.
Thank you, Josephine. Here's our next question.
Hi, Daryl. Yes, I can define median hourly rate. Thank you for that question. And we moved to median instead of average. So median is the rate that respondents are reporting the most often. So while the average would tell you, out of all the hourly rates that respondents gave us, we took the average of them. But like I said, with the maximum being 360, it wouldn't give as accurate a number for us to understand. We want to know what are consultants most likely to be making, and that's we get that by the median hourly rate.
We'll just give a few more seconds for any potential questions.
Sure.
All right. Well, folks, any consulting related question you may have will most likely be answered in the full 2020 IEEE USA Consultants Fee Survey report, which is available in our IEEE USA shop. Thank you so much, Josephine, for joining us today and giving our viewers insight into the situation with consultants and how it has changed in the last year. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for your great questions for our presenter. Check back daily on our social media for updates on future webinars, and we hope you all have a great rest of your day.